Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm very close up today and I must have made a settings thing, so I may adjust that. I will be motivated now to adjust that for you. Because this is just a little bit up close and personal, is it not? Just a wee bit. Let's see what we can do with that. That better. I'm getting quite good at this. Yes. Which motivates me to do a little bit more. Isn't it strange how that happens? I was thinking about the motivation of Mondays and how demotivating it can actually be when we allow it to be so. I don't know about you, but I read a lot of books on metaphysics or how we can change and create our own realities, manifesting our own good health, sometimes wealth, our way of being. How we can motivate ourselves. Now, manifesting motivation can be one of the most awe-inspiringly frustrating things to do when you just don't feel like it. But it has a little teeny thing at the end of that says, you know, when you do it, you're really going to like it. Because it makes you feel really good. Now, the interesting thing is that we can say that in the moment we can be motivated. And we can be, yes, I'm going to do this, and yes, I'm going to do that. And it's going to be wonderful. Then we have, I think, what the American casino people call a cooler effect happening. Now, a cooler, in case you are not au fait with this term, in America, in the casinos, if someone's having a run of luck, what they do is they put a cooler in. And this is a person who is like the black hole of motivation, a singularity of energy that sucks all the luck out of the room, basically. And it's interesting that they use this and they know what they're doing, but they won't really admit it. They're using someone whose energy vampirism means that when they go in there, they are so unbalanced that they will suck the good energy out of another person. And this happens actually all the time. In life it happens. You know yourself that when you get certain visitors, you will sit there and go, oh dear. Or afterwards, your good mood will have evaporated because they've left all their stuff on your carpet, basically. There is a way of saying that, but it's reasonably early in the morning, it's before noon, so we won't do that. Get me in my holding back. There you go. Now, emotional vampirism is something that people often don't realise they're doing. So they're demotivating themselves on a daily basis. I wonder if we could get that to flip over, how much it would change their lives. Then again, it might make them totally the opposite way and they would be like battery bunnies, jumping around all over the place without, in perpetual motion and really driving you mad. It's the striking of the balance. Motivation is great, but actually what it is, it's a starter motor. It's to start you up, to get you to a space where you will run like a smooth engine for the rest of the time. So think about it like that. Don't think about it as you have to be, yes, up, yes, I'm motivated, I'm great, I'm fine. Oh my good grief, that is so tiring. Just thinking about it. No. So realise that motivation is not the whole firework. It's actually just the initial turn the key, start the engine, and it goes vroom, and you might rev it a little bit, to be going on with. But then you put it in gear. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our motivation in gear. And then we're going to drive ourselves through the day. We're going to make ourselves aware, and it's going to be a nice Sunday drive type situation, even although it's Monday. We're going out for a little jolly. That's how we can think about it, if we choose to do so. And we're in our own little car, this body, this vehicle. And so we can understand that anybody else's stuff, their demotivations, their non-understanding of the fact that they don't have to be totally in that zone all the time, that they can actually have gears that will allow them to smoothly transition through the obstacles, around the roadblocks of the day. My goodness, I'm on metaphor magic today, am I not? So just think about it and give yourself a good talking to if you're not getting it quite there yet. And doing that is really a good idea, because self-speak is one of the biggest demotivating factors that we can have. Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh yeah, but then I have to do that, and then that one, and then oh yeah, they're going to come in and they're going to want to have lunch, and I need to get that ready. Have I got enough? Is there enough going on there? And suddenly all this stuff gets in front of you. Now, if we were to look at it, and there is a book called The 5 Languages of Love, and being a doer, a doing person, is one of them. So that means that you decide to do everything for everyone else. But you don't do anything for yourself. Very rarely do we actually sit down and say, do you know what? They can do it for themselves. The other languages, well, get the book, it's really interesting. But often in times, relationship issues come up when you have someone who is speaking a different language to you. So if you are a doing person and you are married to a talking person, someone who always wants to talk, and they want you to take time from what you're doing and go and talk, that kind of demotivates you from where you are. It also demotivates them because they can't talk to you because you're busy off doing things for them. So you see where you get the disconnect. So when you're talking to yourself, when you're using your self-speak, first thing in the morning, remember, set the tone. Set the tone at night before you go to bed that you're going to have a great sleep. In the morning, before you just throw the blankets off and jump up and get into the shower and do what you have to do and the whole thing, and then you start and it's the day, and then you sit and go, what do I do now? Well, that's the moment you can actually decide to put your motivation in. But before you've done that, you could have changed what you did by setting the tone. Before you think about throwing those covers off, take a little time to luxuriate in that moment of perfect coziness. And you know the one I'm talking about. That one where everything is just at the right temperature. You're in exactly the right place. And you know that if you move a nanocell, the spell will be broken. But you're lying there and you know that you're going to have to get up, you're going to have to move it. But you can just be in that moment in time, in that special little bubble of your own. And there, the only thing that doesn't shift the actual understanding of where you are is the thought that you are there and it's cool and it's beautiful to be there. Just take a moment. And then you can start setting your tone for the day. You can start thinking about being motivated to do something. You can start thinking about understanding how you can pop in the odd strategy point. And you can actually say, maybe it's time they learn to do what it was that I do or did, because some of them I'm going to stop doing now. And I'm going to start doing them for me. Because I am important too. It's very true. And one of the things that we can use for mediation in family changeovers is the talking stick. Now, most of you who have worked with me will know about this stick. This beautiful stick, talking stick. And of course it doesn't do the talking. What it does is it holds a lot of energy. You see, this was once part of a living, breathing Caledonian Scots pine. And part of it fell down. And so this was picked up by Andrew and collected. And this was actually the stick we used at our hand fasting. Now the interesting thing about talking sticks is that they are used as mediation tools. They are used as signs of authority, leadership. There's a speaker staff, so basically you could have a really, really big talking stick that's a staff. And these would usually be used by the people who were there to be listened to, leaders of tribes, clans, gatherings. And you knew that the guy with the stick was the one you had to pay attention to, because they had all the news. These days it's a podium and a microphone. Still a stick. Just has sound things attached to it. So they're very important things. They're very useful things. Because the person who has the stick holds the floor. They speak. And everybody else has to open their ears and listen. This becomes active listening. So you actually get to hear what's going on. Now, when the stick is passed along to the next person, there's an indication of, I've spoken, I've said my piece, there you go, it's yours. And the other person acknowledges this the same way and says, I've heard you say your piece. It could be a nod. In most circles it's aho, they say. Some people put the stick on the ground and may raise it to the sky before they pass it on, whichever way they're going to pass it. This means that each person in that gathering, in that family unit, gets to say their piece, but they get to say it after actively listening to the person who began. And this also means that the person who began gets to hear how what they've said has been perceived by each and every person in the group, who can add their own little bit before passing it on. And when it gets back to the person who first started, they can acknowledge everyone. And normally what can be found is that when you're sitting waiting for that stick to come round to you, someone else is going to actually voice your thought, because they kind of had the same idea or the same confusion or a similar perception of what was said. This brings to light to the person who said it how they're coming over, how they're communicating what they want to communicate. The only rules with the talking stick and circle is who has the stick holds the floor. Everyone else listens. Anything that is said there is said in respect, calmly, and is not repeated outside of that meeting, that body, unless it is specifically okay to do so. I wonder what would happen if we all employed that. And the interesting thing, a lot of people think that the talking stick situation is only North American, Aboriginal. But actually Australian Aboriginals have things called message sticks. We have used, as human beings in cultures around the world from ancient times, indicators of power, indicators of communication. Since we learned how to make sigils and marks on wood, stone and bone. It doesn't have to be a stick, it could be a stone. It could be a bone even. When you think about it, around the world, particularly in places of power, the Egyptians had the crook and flail, 2 sticks that you see them on the mummies, like this, and any statues describing them, that was a sign of their power. Royalty has a sceptre, it's a stick. The great mace that comes into our House of Commons and goes black rod, think about it, rod, he's holding a black rod. He is a powerful being in that situation within that ceremony, and that rod means something, and we all understand that, and we all see that and say, oh, that's the black rod, he's going to bang on that door and he's going to open those doors, and that means Parliament is now in session. Parliament has come back. There are so many other ways that we do it, and we look at it and we don't even see it properly. But actually, this thing is something really good to use. And you can use it for yourself. You don't have to have it with someone else. You can actually sit there with a talking stick and use it as a focal point of concentration. Particularly when it's designed in different ways. This one is very special. This is a truth-telling stick. And I'll tell you that story another time. But think about taking time out, setting the tone of your day. Start your engine. Yes, definitely. Get it firing into life in the morning. Then put it in gear and change gears throughout the day to take you safely through your journey. And you may even stop at a lay-by every now and again and have a look around and enjoy the sights. And understand that while you're driving, you don't need to be hijacked, and you don't need to take on hitchhikers who are going to actually demotivate you and become coolers for your good mood. You don't have to be a doer all the time. You can be a sitting still, allowing person. Allow yourself to be calm. Allow yourself to be stressless. Allow yourself to journey into a space where the world is a magical place. I'll see you tomorrow. Be well, be blessed, be loved, be motivated. And remember, use your gears.